Well, good morning, everyone. I think we're just about ready to begin. We've had a few people just drifting in for the last minute or so. So why don't we just quickly start off with just saying who you are and where you're from. Any other quick thing you might want to share about yourself? Let's keep it concise and then we can keep moving. Just going from top left on my screen. Coralie, would you like to start off?
Sure, I'm Coralie from New Zealand and I've been reading this book.
Awesome.
You've got a new one.
Julie.
I wish.
Me. Oh, well, I'm Julie and I'm from, I'm in Wellington at the moment because it's my home country, but I also live in Europe and Amsterdam part of the year.
Such a name dropper. All right, Christopher.
Hi, I'm Chris and I'm from Sydney, Australia.
Awesome. From the dark side of Australia, we'll say. Oh, cool. Binta.
Hi, I'm Binta and I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana in the United States.
Where all the cool
I've
music
always
comes
wanted,
from, isn't it?
I've always wanted to visit there.
Yes, me too.
Please come. It's a very nice day today. So sunny and gorgeous blue skies. It's amazing.
Dr. Kim.
I love them.
Hello. You're muted. We can't hear you. Sorry, or I can't.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'm from New Jersey, the United States, and it's a joy to be here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else we got? Stan.
Stan, I'm from Perth, Western Australia.
Awesome. Carly.
I'm Newcastle, New Sydney, and my spiritual name is Carly Bolo because it means the eternal presence and unconditional love. And that's why I love using it. And other than that, I'm a mum with twins and love awakening consciousness.
Great. And you are present this morning. So eternally present this morning. That's great. Kim, who would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello. I'm driving, but I'm listening. I will turn on my video as soon as I get home. I'm calling from Washington, USA.
From where? Sorry, Rushton? In the USA. All right, that's awesome. Well, we won't ask Kim to contribute to the Noble Goldman principles then as she's driving. We don't want to cause any accidents. So I'll just share screen and bring up our Noble Goldman principles, which is how we usually start off the meetings now that we've all just, oh, and I'm Tony, obviously, by the way. Hello. Just to, and I'm in Perth, Western Australia as well. So I'll just share the screen, bring up the Noble Goldman principles. And, oh, actually, before I do that, hold on a moment. Hold on. I forgot, didn't I? I've got to give you all a number. Otherwise I'll forget and then I won't be able to see everyone. So let's go with Coralie. You were the first here today, so I think you should be number one. Get a pen that works. Julie, you can be number two. Chris, number three. This is just how you're appearing on my screen. No preferential treatment or anything here. Binta, number four.
Tony, can you leave me out because I'm in a public place? So it would be better not to.
Okay, Dr. Kim, number five. Stan, can you slot in at number two then instead after Coralie? So then after Dr. Kim, number six will be Carly. We won't ask Kim and we're not asking Julie, so that only leaves me. So I'll be number seven and then it'll be back to Coralie again. So that's Coralie number one, Stan number two, Chris number three, Binta number four, Dr. Kim number five, Carly number 6, and me number 7. Okay, Coralie, oh, hang on. Let me share the screen.
Thanks.
You don't have to do it from memory. Okay.
That's good.
And let me just allow Joe to enter. Hang on, where do I get to him? Hang on, I might have to unshare the screen again. Just whoa, one moment, sorry. Admit Joe, there we go. Actually, Stan, if I can, I'll just make you the co-host, Stan, just in case somebody else wants to join and I can't see them for some reason. Okay.
Cool. No problems.
Cool, thank you. So I'll just drop that down and go back to sharing the screen again. Thank you for bearing with me there. Can we all see the screen? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Cool. Okay, Coralie, lead us away.
Okay. The purpose of the mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, and create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
Into number 4.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for an hour, for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love.
Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware, and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building, and the effective utilization of the internet-based platforms.
And Stan?
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time.
Yes, awesome. We will inspire each other and raise our consciousness, won't we? Okay, and I'd just like to do a quick welcome to Joe as well. Where are you calling us in from? Where are you calling from today, Joe?
Hey everyone, I'm over here in Michigan, in the United States.
Awesome. So we are truly an international cast this morning. So, wow, what a chapter, or what a couple of chapters. Very impressive. Firstly, can I just ask, who is willing to admit it? There's no naughty corner here, but who hasn't had chance to read these chapters? Ali, Joe, yep, Chris.
This is Kim. I have not.
Okay, cool.
I have started the book though.
You haven't started yet, Joe?
I have started the book.
Good man, good man.
So I'm getting there. I'm catching up.
You're catching up. Awesome. Well, look, this is it. The beauty of this book is it's a book you can go back to multiple times. You will, I promise you, you will never tire of reading it. because every time you read it, you will go back and find something different maybe about it that you missed, because what will have happened is your life will have moved on. You will have had different experiences in the meantime. And when you go back, different things resonate with you at that point in your life. It's been very interesting for me because I'm a highlighter. I'm one of these people who likes to highlight my books. Some people call that destroying the book. I call that making use of the knowledge and reinforcing lessons from it. So I like to do that. But I found it interesting going back through the book because I read it the first time, this particular copy, many, many years ago. And I'm highlighting very different things to what I originally highlighted. So that's been quite an eye-opener. And as I said in the introduction, for those who might have missed it on previous weeks, this book is not just about making money. It's about every aspect of your life, really about becoming rich in all areas. So for those who haven't had chance or are still running behind, a very quick summary from me, and then I'll get into opening it up for general discussion. So we had chapter 1 where the title was Thoughts of Things. And he talked very much about the fact that everything starts with an idea or a concept, and that, you know, nothing that even the chair you're sitting on right now, the computer screen that you're looking at, none of these things, excuse me, were, they all started with a thought, somebody's idea. And then from that, they were created. So we know that that's the way the universe works. Okay. Chapter 2 was about desire, and it was about turning your wishes into a burning desire to achieve. And he gave you some examples of how to back that by faith, and to use things like affirmations, and to make sure that you actually write down your plan of what it is that you want and get clear about it. And that again can change as time goes on. Obviously you may not want the same things. Me now having just turned 60, what I'm asking for from the universe is different to what I was probably asking for when I was 20, for sure. So you know, as you go through your life, this needs to be revisited, because we're all a work in progress. You know, we're all moving forwards. So chapter 3 was faith, and that was about how to add your emotion to the things that you want. So not just a thought, not just an idea of something that you want. And welcome to Binta's partner there, right? And to improve your chances of making these things come true, reality, by adding real emotion and feeling to your wishes. So they're not just a wish, they are a burning desire that you actually feel strongly that it's important for you to achieve. And some of the examples we had in that chapter were people like Lincoln and Gandhi, or Jesus Christ, people who came up with a concept that they really wanted to get out there to the world, and it was their burning mission to achieve that. And you think about, sometimes we ask ourselves, what can one person do? Who am I to be able to do something? And then you think about those people, they were just human beings who did extraordinary things, the people doing the extraordinary. So it's all about our belief and our faith in our ability to achieve things. Chapter 4 was about auto-suggestion. So it was about persisting in reading aloud your statement of desire and basically programming your subconscious mind, which is where all the good stuff happens. You know, like our mind, our brain is like an iceberg, right? The bit you see above the surface, the conscious mind, is the small part. The massive bit that's hidden below the surface, which is the dangerous bit that sinks ships and all that, you know, that's the bottom part of the iceberg. That's our subconscious mind. And that's why when you're having a chat with somebody and you go, what was the name of that actor that was in that movie? I can't think. Well, of course, now we use Google, you know, or what's it, IMDb or something to look that up. But, you know, your brain goes away, ticking away in the background. And that's why a couple of hours later, or maybe you wake up in the middle of the night, you go, I've got that name now. It's come into my brain. Where did that come from? Because your mind has been ticking away in the background to produce the answer that you asked, the question you asked of it. So we know also from our own experiences there how powerful our subconscious mind can be. So if we actually take control of that by sending it good stuff and programming it in a positive way and reinforcing our belief and our faith and our desire to make happen the things that are important to us, we can use the power of auto-suggestion to program our subconscious mind. Now, when we're doing that, what then starts to kick in is all the other universal laws, things like the law of attraction, where you suddenly find yourself meeting the people that you need to meet to make these desires come true. So, you know, what might seem like coincidences start to occur where the right information suddenly drops in your lap. You know, you turn on the telly and there's a program exactly about the thing that you're wanting to learn all about. So the more that you can program your subconscious mind, the more you can reinforce your ability to make things happen. So that's sort of bringing us up to speed. And then we have these two chapters that was our homework to read for today's talk. Chapter 5 on specialized knowledge and chapter 6 on imagination. Two massive chapters. So we'll start with chapter 5, specialized knowledge. And look, I might just start by throwing it out there. So it's not all me speaking. It's not all about me. I'd like to hear what other people have to say. And so would anyone like to put their hand up and start? Or by the way, if you want to speak, I at the moment, I can see all of you on the screen. So you can just either raise your hand or you can go down to the little box down the bottom, where is it? The reaction box. And you can either support somebody's comment by putting a, you know, applauding hands, thumbs up, a heart. You can cry with laughter. You can go, wow. Or you can go, let's party. Or if you want to raise your hand to speak, you can do that too. So if you raise if you're not getting, if I haven't noticed you or asked you to speak, just stick your hand up and we will get to you. I promise. We'll do our best to get around everybody and let everyone be involved in the discussion today. So the important thing about this is each of us will have got different things out of it depending on where we're at in our life. So who'd like to go forward and just share something important that they got out of this chapter number 5 on specialized knowledge, for those who did read it, of course. Anybody brave enough to get started? If not, I will give you some summaries of it myself.
I've been listening to it on audio, so I'm not quite sure where I'm up to. I think I'm at the end of session 5.
Yes.
But Tony, you're supposed to use a pencil. The man said use a pencil to highlight to underline the words that are most interesting.
Oh no, does that mean I have to sit in the naughty corner now?
Yeah. You've highlighted it. Oh, that's in the wrong chapter. I was thinking about, I just read about the Coca-Cola, but that's in the next chapter.
Yes, that's chapter 6. So specialized knowledge we're talking about.
I don't know. Sometimes when I'm listening to it on an audio book and it's really long, and sometimes you think, where am I?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
How long is this story going?
Yes. Quite a few hours, actually.
Can I just read a sentence out of it that sort of pertains to this? It's perhaps you may need much more specialized knowledge than you have the ability or the inclination to acquire. If this should be true, you may bridge your weakness through the aid of your mastermind group.
And here we are.
Look at that.
Absolutely. I mean, this is where the whole concept of Noble Goldman has come from, originates from the teachings of Napoleon Hill. He's a great exponent of the power of the mastermind. Who else would like to add any thoughts on that? Or did you want to say anything else, Coralie, about that?
I would just that that's something sort of to help me in my growing, because I've always just gone out on my own and done everything, and the stuff that I'm not very good at just doesn't get done very well. So yeah, that'd be a good step to, you know, let other people do the bits that I'm not good at.
Absolutely. Another key point that came out of that was that what a lot of people do is they think, oh, I've got to do this, but I don't know how to do it. So they give up. They think, oh, it's beyond my capabilities, instead of asking the better question of, who do I know around me who is in my support team that can help me with this, or that may be able to do it for me, or may be able to show me how to do it, or may be able to connect me with the right person who can help me to do that. So, you know, we can leverage our ability, our time, our money from the resources that are around us. There was an example, I think it was in this chapter, where it might be in the next one, but we'll come to that, but where you need to raise a certain amount of money in order to achieve a project, or to get it started even. And we tend to think, oh, you know, like, so the project's $1 million project. Oh, how am I going to raise $1 million? I don't know how to raise $1 million. So therefore we kind of quit and go, well, it can't be done then. I don't have enough money to do it. And a lot of the population falls into that category. A lot of people who would like to start their own business. For me, for years, I wanted to start my own business, and I was under the impression I need to have a lot of money to start my own business. And I know I tried the things that you can do where it's a low cost startup, you know, multi-level marketing and those sorts of things while I was doing a full-time job. But eventually I came across a concept called vendor finance, and I was able to persuade the previous owner of the business to leave some money in it. And we borrowed, my partner and I at the time, we borrowed some family money, and the combination of the bit of family money and the money we had from the vendor finance, we were able to buy a business and get started. So sometimes we put our own limitations on ourselves by thinking we have to do everything, or we have to know everything. And specialized knowledge is a particular area where, another great example, just to get people talking this morning, I'll just throw a few examples in, all right? So for instance, I had a car dealership at one point. I had started with a backpackers hostel. Then a lot of my backpackers were getting ripped off by dodgy car dealers and mechanics in the city in Perth. So I thought, why don't I just start my own? So I started a car dealership and then added a workshop in there. I know a bit about cars, but I didn't know enough to do the mechanical work. So I simply hired a mechanic. So I could get the thing going. I had the idea, I had the concept. I didn't need to know how to fix the car. I just got the other guy to do that and give me the highlights. You know, what do I need to know? How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take you? What parts do you need me to order? You know, I could put those limitations, like work within my limitations, because I had a specialist there that I could call on. So what other areas, or what else have we learned from this chapter about specialized knowledge? Anybody else?
Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
So actually this is really great, because you all just opened my eyes, because the whole time I've read the book a long time ago, but I thought specialized knowledge was me like knowing what I'm doing and having the skills and everything before I do it. So I was totally lost, but now I get it. Actually, I get it, because when you were in a mastermind like this, you get to share each other's ideas. And then before you know, you could pick somebody's brain and say, oh, this is, somebody will say, no, this is how you do it. And this is what has been happening the whole time. So I'm happy that this is really wonderful. Thank you.
That's great, Binta. I'm glad to hear that, because, you know, a lot of the time we tend to, who do we go and ask first? We ask our family usually, don't we? And sometimes they're well-meaning and they're trying to protect you from failures or embarrassment or humiliation or any of those things. So they'll tend to go, oh, no, that's not a good idea. You don't know enough about that. Don't do that. So they, without meaning to, they can be quite discouraging and sometimes downright, you know, a pain in the butt. But, you know, that everyone's got different families, of course. But it depends who you ask. And then you might ask your close friends. Well, they might, again, they might also be trying to protect you from failure, rather than, hopefully, if you're hanging out with the right people, they would be the sort who would encourage you and say, yeah, you can do this. What, like, how can I help? Or, you know, what do you need? Or that's what you're looking for. So when you put a business mastermind around yourself, you're really reinforcing and leveraging your ability to do much more. You know, I've got an accountant, for example. I don't need to know all the tax laws and everything. That's what the accountant does. You know, I've got if I need to call a lawyer, I'll call a lawyer. I don't need to know all the legal implications. I couldn't possibly know everything. We can be generalists and we can have a bit of knowledge about everything, but you need specialists who focus on that particular area. And that's when you draw upon their skills. And we all have so much skill. If you were to go around asking everybody, we haven't got the time for that today, unfortunately, but if we asked everybody in the group here, you know, what skills have you got? What have you done? What could you bring to the table? You will be blown away about the intelligence and the aptitudes of people sitting in this group this morning. So that's a great share. Thanks, Binta. Dr. Kim, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Thank you, Tony, about this. You know, I'm relatively new to Noble Goldman, and my life has been exponentially enriched by the people I find here on these masterminds, on the masterminds that I have the privilege of leading, and Russ's Success by Design class, and I'm just scratching the surface. You know, I came to the community an accomplished woman, and yet there's so much more I want to bring to the world, and I want to have a podcast. And there are people here who specialize in podcasts. And I wanted to have a 10-star website, and I found people to help me make my 10-star website. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. In some ways, I feel like I'm in kindergarten in a lot of areas, and yet there are people in this community who are so generous in helping with anything, even, you know, being sure my password is in my mastermind so people don't miss it. So I just, you know, all of you are representative to me of the entire Noble Goldman community. And I'm literally, frankly, here with tears in my eyes, with really deep gratitude. And as, you know, Napoleon Hill says, when we work together, and especially work together with love, so much more becomes possible than we could possibly accomplish individually. And I said this to Julie and a couple others the other night on the mastermind that I lead, which is Fall in Love with You, that being open and asking for help is in fact an act of self-love. When we realize that we're worthy of receiving and we're up to big enough things that we can actually take the risk of reaching out, it is an act of self-love, which I just want to say how much I appreciate.
That's a lovely share. So thanks so much for that, Dr. Kim. I'm going to write that down. Asking for help is an act of self-love. That's powerful.
Thank you.
Anyone want to add to that? Oh, so sorry, Vince.
Oh, can I say one more thing? I don't. So I'm someone who never thought I would have a tribe. I just, you know, I'm kind of allergic to groups and you know, because there's conflict and there's this, and how do you get everybody on the same page? Even though I teach leadership and ethics as a professor, and yet I've had this incredible breakthrough and realized I have a tribe now. I have a tribe. I have people I can count on, learn and grow with, and there's actually nothing better. So thank you once again.
And not only that, it's an international tribe. You know, you can reach out right around the world. So if you wanted to know, like, say, if you want to export a product or a service or something and you want to go to a different country, you've now got a whole community of people that are in that country that can give you advice and give you the heads ups on, you know, the tips and knowledge about whatever's you need to know locally and so on. So it really truly is an international community that we're tapping into here. I just wanted to check, Binta. Well, sorry, I don't know your partner's name there.
Charlie.
Charlie, how are you going? Welcome to the team today.
Wonderful.
He's my brother.
First of all, I really want to thank you very much, and so grateful to be among all of you, and also thank you for really doing this and breaking it down to such a powerful way and understanding way also. And I just wanted to also add into what Kim was saying, is that, you know, I think that teamwork is always something that's powerful. And I believe that we tend to acknowledge that part of it, reaching out to others. You know, I always feel like you know, when you have a pie and just eat all of it and you have your belly full, and then you look at yourself, is that how satisfying that is. But if you share it with others and just have that enjoyment among others, that is very, very gratifying and satisfying, you know. So we need to keep that concept of just living together, being with one another, and also empowering one another. I'm saying this to say that I know that it's a calling for me to come to America and just reach out to the community, to support and serve. And I cannot tell you what just one man can do with the little that you have. I'll give you it's a simple example. I just bought this house several years back, just was destroyed by Katrina, the hurricane. I went in there and with the few dollars that I have, asked for help, people here and there with skills. You're a plumber, you come help me. Once the house is done, you have a space for you. You know, I can lodge you with your skills. And do that with the same thing with the electrician and a sheetrock guy. By the time you know it, the house was complete. So at the end, we kept that house, turning it around in a sense where it's for homeless people, battered women, men coming out of prison. And we created at least 20 people at the end. And when I tell you, at that moment, they were self-sufficient. They were living with one another. They were helping one another. When you cook for everyone. When Susie is sick, we know Susie's routine. We go and knock at the door, check on Susie. When Peter is not at home at a certain time, we check on Peter and know why and understand why Peter is not at home. All that to say is that we need to keep growing that community, that togetherness. And of course, Noble Goldman, it's a powerhouse. This is the future. Noble Goldman is doing so much for us. And it's simply a powerhouse. It's the future, you know? So thank you again for everybody. And I'm just so excited and grateful to be among everybody here.
And I have to say that I met, just like Tony was saying, it's an international, Noble Goldman is an international community. I just met Tony last week when I was with Carly, my good friend there. I was on her mastermind, and then I met Tony, and this is how, and he's a world away, wow. You know, so that's how, this is incredible. Yes. Thank you.
That's great shares. Thank you guys. That's awesome. Yeah. Dr. Kim, you still got your hand up. Is that from before, or did you have something new you wanted to add?
Sorry, that's from before. I'll take it down. Thanks.
No problem. All right. Does anyone else want to add anything else about chapter 5 before we move on to chapter 6? No. Okay, so just one or two little things that I wrote down from that chapter. From chapter 5 was that your major purpose in life will determine what knowledge you need. So as I said before, as you evolve and move on your journey, new things will become apparent that you now need to know about. And so you've got to keep on building that tribe. And if you want to attract people to your tribe, if you want friends, be a friend, you know, share your knowledge, share your wisdom, share your ideas, and you know, the law of giving and receiving will bring that back to you. So, yeah, I think, and preparation, there was a bit about preparing for the ideal job. So for those of us who are not, I'm in business, but for those of you who are in jobs, if you want the better job or the ideal job, do the preparation and show that why you would be an asset to that company, as well as what they've got to offer you. So there was a good example in that, and that resonated with me, because that's the whole reason I was able to get to Australia from Jersey and the Channel Islands, was that I went for a one-off interview with a retail chain here, Target Australia. I was a supermarket manager back then, and I went to them and talked them into offering me a job from overseas, which they had to break their company policy to do that. And because I went in there prepared, you know, they started off saying, well, we can't offer you a job because you don't live here. And I went, that's great, I'll carry on and have the interview anyway. And at the end of the interview, went, I'm really impressed, I want to offer you a job, but I can't do that. So I'll give you a letter to say, if you get to Australia, we'll offer you a job. And I said, that's awesome, thank you so much. I said, but if you really want me to work for you, I really need you to fill this form in. And I put the form on the desk in front of him from the immigration department for the sponsorship. So I went in there prepared. I went in there and sold to them why I could be of benefit to them, and they sponsored me into the country. So I wouldn't even be here if I hadn't followed the teachings that are in that chapter. So it ties up at the end of the chapter, going to lead into the next chapter, which is about imagination. So this is where we are combining the original ideas that you have with your specialized knowledge, and then putting it all together with a plan. So, but it all starts with the imagination, with an idea. Everything, as we've said, begins with an idea. Whether the chair you're sitting on, the computer screen you're looking at, whatever there is in your life at the moment, is somebody's idea. So he leads quite an important quote: man can create anything which he can imagine. Now, you think back, when I was a kid, I used to watch Star Trek a lot, you know, back in the days when it was Captain Kirk and Spock, you know, the original Star Trek series. That's how old I am. Some of you might not even have heard of them. So right at the beginning there, Captain Kirk used to have this thing called a communicator that he used to hold up, and he'd talk to the, you know, if he'd be beamed down onto the planet, and he'd talk to them on the spaceship, go, you know, he'd chat to them. Well, that communicator was something nobody had ever heard of or thought of at that point. And now what do we have? We have our communicator. Not only that, we can talk to it and go, computer, turn the lights on, or tell me who won the soccer last night, or whatever. So it's not only a telephone and a communication device, it's a walking encyclopedia as well. Now, that was all imagined in Star Trek back when I was a kid. You know, I'm that old.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Exactly. I'm that old. I had black and white TV when I was a kid. And
so did I.
You have to get up off the couch, lift your big bum off the couch, and walk over to that TV to turn the channel over or to change the volume up or down. That's how old I am. So that's all changed in my lifetime. My mother's lifetime, they used to have the wireless. So things are changing incredibly fast. But it all starts with us and our imagination and our ideas. So what else did anyone else get from chapter 6? Anyone like to share? Come on, people, wake up this morning.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that today is an incredibly important time, because my son is just opening up a business again that he had about 10 years ago, and he had this incredible idea of recycling, and he recycling in a very special way that was getting gold and using whiteware. And this business in about 18 months was turning over $1.5 million. Yeah? And he was in partnership with a man that was very corrupt and actually took the whole business off him with corrupt lawyers and everything else 2 days before his wedding. And he just had to give it away, and it's taken him about 7 years to heal the wounds, I think. And then about, you know, a few months ago, he's just, again, the imagination started, and he's built on it even more. He's got knowledge that he thought other people would pick up and do in the years, and they haven't. So he's just about to drive and meet investors, but he had no money. Again, no money. And some investors are wanting to join the business and help him out. So there's a fine example of imagination. And, you know, he didn't succeed in anything. He's been driving trucks. And here he is with all this inside of him. So I just thought I'd bring it up because it's a very special day, and I want to put nice energy out there so that it all goes smoothly.
That's fantastic, Julie. I'm so pleased to hear that. That's really...
Well, you know, he's had a real struggle with, and his wife's very ill with Huntington's disease. So, and then they've just had this little baby. So, you know, they really can do with a break.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just hoping that all, because his imagination and his creativity are really incredible. Yeah.
No, that's such a cool story, because you've shared that a few times as we've gone on the last few weeks, the struggles that the family's been going through there. And
Yes, they've just lost their mother, and or my daughter-in-law's just lost her mother. So let's hope it's all going well.
And that's when we find ourselves, I think, we find our true character is not when everything's going really well, but when we have to face struggles and adversity. That's when we're tested, and that's when we dig deep and we bring out the real spirit in ourselves, and we pick ourselves back up and we have another go. So Dr. Kim, you got your hand up again. Is that a new one?
I just wanted to acknowledge Julie, because Julie, as much as you're acknowledging your son in this special day, I know all these years you've been holding space for him to heal and move forward. And I just want you to know how much I know that that's contributed to where he is today and to launching this new business. And maybe those of you don't know this, but Julie is an internationally acclaimed potter, and she specializes in creativity. So it's no surprise to me that your son does also. So just wanted to share that.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to also share that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was very bound by this having to help. And then I realized that actually I needed to help myself. And this is where I met Dr. Kim, where we know the story there. And she recognized something. And I also recognized that I had to, in order to help him, because we were in conflict, a huge amount, very similar frustration. And I knew I had to withdraw and let him get on with it. And I did that by looking after myself. And it was the weirdest thing, because I felt guilty and selfish to withdraw, and especially at a time when there was so much need. But that withdrawal allowed space, and it was just an incredible turnabout in his attitude towards me and back, and me towards him. So it's just a little something that came along. I know it's probably not to do with the chapters, but it is very powerfully that when you do begin to care and put yourself, in a position where you're looking after yourself, then that does more. That seems to be giving love in some weird way. And I think that's the law of give and receive too. So interesting. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Kim, for that.
That's great. Thanks, Kim, for that, and thanks, Julie. I just want to, because I'm conscious of the fact there are a couple of people, or a few people now on the call that haven't had the chance to read this chapter yet. And for me, I just want to share that I think this, of the 6 chapters so far, this is the one that is a really crunch chapter, because, Napoleon said, imagination rules the world. What we can conceive and believe, we can achieve. So that's been embedded in, he's repeating some of the lessons back from chapter 1 about a thought is energy. A thought is something. We're all made up of energy, right? We're all vibrating. And so there's a distinction I just want to make that comes up in this chapter. He talks about there's 2 types of imagination. He says in here that one is synthetic imagination, he calls it, which is really where you're adapting. Now, I would call that innovation in today's jargon. That's where you've got a system or a situation that's already in practice. Like, say you take over a business and it's already working, but then you innovate on it. Then you find better ways of doing things. You come up with new ideas. So that's using your, what he calls synthetic imagination. In other words, you're taking something that already is there, but then you're adding your own twist, you're improving it, you're enhancing it in some way. Then you've got the other is creative imagination. So that's where we as human beings have the advantage over artificial intelligence, for example, because we can have those left field thoughts, we can have those hunches, the inspirations that we come up with a totally different idea, a totally different way of doing something. That's where Carly and I have just, and a few of the people on the call have been looking at another book in the last few weeks, which I'd highly recommend as well, called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Waddles. And so there's a lot of similarities between the two books there. He talked there about being creative rather than being competitive. So instead of just looking at, well, this is how the market's doing it, this is how the competition's doing it, maybe I can do something that's in competition to them. But if you can come up with something totally creative, something totally new, a new way of thinking about something or a new way of doing something, then you can change a whole ball game. You know, you think about it's some of the recent examples in industrial history around the world. You know, again, going back when I was a kid, we had audio tapes, and then we had VHS videotapes, and then somebody came out with beta, but that didn't quite take off. But then we had CDs and then DVDs. So then all the video shops, we used to go to video shops and hire videos to watch for the weekend, you know, for our entertainment. And then it went to DVDs, and then things like Netflix came out. So suddenly all those shops are closing down because people don't go, they can get it off, you know, live streaming now. So that's, and you know, there's innovation, but there's also totally new imaginative concepts that come up that change the whole ball game. And in this case, you know, they've changed it for humanity. So how we do things and where we tap into, he talks about it in here, that is where you are actually tapping into infinite intelligence, he calls it in the book. Now that's whatever it means to you, you know, the higher consciousness or God or Allah or whatever your definition of that is, but where we are tapping into something bigger than ourselves. And we are all connected. You know, the more you read about quantum mechanics and quantum fields and so on, we are all connected, and we are all here to actually help each other. And what we do affects other people just as much as it affects us. So we really can make a difference here. You know, it's not a you know, an idle piece of chat. What we read out at the start of these meetings is that we can change the world one relationship at a time, because we're giving out there, we're helping other people. That has a knock-on or a ripple effect around the world. You know, I used to do this I used to run an international backpackers hostel, and people that I would help with a conversation in the backyard over a beer about whatever troubles they were going through, I could help them. Then they would go back home to wherever they were, the other side of the world, and change their whole dynamic with their family or whatever trouble they were going through. And that has a knock-on effect, a ripple effect, some of which you'll never see, you'll never even hear about. But that's why it's so important to be kind to people, to, you know, commit random acts of kindness, to be good to each other, to spread goodwill in the community, and to be honest and ethical and so on. And Wallace Waddles talks a lot about that. Napoleon Hill talks a lot about that too, about a fair exchange, you know, doing what you can for people, making sure that everyone, it's a win-win situation, not just a I win, you lose situation, right? And then he goes on to talk about the examples of this creative imagination, and the biggest one being the Coca-Cola story, with Asa Candler, the retail clerk who buys a $500 kettle and a paddle and a note with it that's got presumably the secret recipe of Coca-Cola, and goes out and starts manufacturing that and producing it. And well, you all know the history, the rest of it, there's Coke signs everywhere. Another interesting thing that leapt out from me from this was this, well, there's the Frank Gunsaulus story. So Frank Gunsaulus was a guy who he had this concept of an education establishment. He needed $1 million to get it going. Now, most people would go, well, that's the end of that then, isn't it? I don't have $1 million, I can't do it. Wouldn't we? Most of us probably go, yeah, that's a great idea, but you know, some rich bugger will go and do that, won't they? No, he went, I'm going to do this. He focused and he reaffirmed the power and the faith in his belief, and he could see himself having the $1 million so he could make this happen. And he said in here, and I quote here, I closed my eyes and spoke with all my heart and soul of my dreams. I not only talked to my audience, but I fancy I talked also to God. So whatever, as I said, whatever God is to you, your collective consciousness your universal source of power, when you add your emotion to it, when you add and you build by repetition, you build your belief in your ability to make this happen. He delivered this speech to an audience, and somebody in the audience came up to him afterwards and said, I'll give you the $1 million. I believe in what you just said. That was the power of conviction, the power of belief in a positive, worthy ideal. You know, Elle Nightingale talks about having a worthy ideal. If you have something that's going to be of benefit to the community, it's not just about you and your own greed. If it's about how you can help people, how you can make a difference, we can add a service or a product that's going to be useful to people and be a win-win situation, the universe will hear you. It'll give you what you want if your motives are pure and your faith in your dream and your belief in that and your conviction in that is true and honest. That's enough from me. Somebody else, please give your thoughts on it. Anyone who hasn't spoken yet today might like to add something out of chapter 6 for those who might have read it. Kimmy.
I haven't read it, but as I was listening to you, that's a universal brain, where if you have a really good idea, or if you see something, if you see a problem that needs solved,
Kim,
that's using your imagination.
You're breaking up quite badly. Just, what are you using, your car audio or laptop?
No.
Try again. Sorry.
Phone. Is it not working?
I just try again. I couldn't.
No, that's okay.
Give it one more go.
So I was. Can you hear me?
It's coming and going a little bit. Maybe type it in the chat box then, and we'll.
Hey Kim, cut your video feed and just go off of the audio. That might allow you to have a better reception to speak.
Good tip, Joe. Well done.
How is that?
Yeah. See the power of the mastermind.
Thank you, Joe. Is that better? Yeah. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So my family has always said that we use our imagination best when we're trying to solve problems.
Yes.
And at the same time, we've also had experiences where we'll come up with a really good idea and then say them out loud, like, oh, you know, why aren't we doing it this way? And then we just let it go. And then later, I don't know, maybe months or a year later, someone is selling that, you know, or like I've been to the home show and I'll see an idea and it's like, well, why are they doing it this way, not this way? And then the next year we go back to the home show and that's exactly how they're doing it now. And so we joke that don't say a good idea out loud unless you're willing to either act on it or let someone else have it, because we've just shared it out to everyone. So it's just, I love this imagination discussion.
That's so true, Kim. That's a great share. Haven't we all had that experience at some time of thinking, you know what, somebody should do this? Someone does. If you don't go and do it, or you find a way of, you know, leveraging your time, your money, your skills to go and make it happen, you put it out there, and sure enough, a short while later, somebody else has gone and done it.
Yeah, so it's my turn with the help of this group, the whole Noble Goldman community, because I was on the call last night with Mark and we were talking about my large goal. And he's like, well, you don't have to know it all and you don't have to have it all together, because you're going to meet someone either in the community or someone who knows someone who knows someone. I mean, it's not even, we're not all necessarily already in the community yet, but they'll connect us with someone who will. And so that's chapter 5 and 6 right there in a nut. You know, it's just, yeah. I don't have to know it all, but I can still achieve my goal. And so I have been on cloud 9 since last night's call, and just, I know things are going to change, and I'm just putting it out to the universe now. So, because it's going to happen.
That's so cool, Kim. You know, for those of you who haven't yet had the privilege of spending some time with Mark, I highly recommend that you do. He is like the living embodiment of Napoleon Hill's teachings. He's just such a cool guy. you know, he comes up with all this these comments and this wisdom that just come out of nowhere, you know, but it's not out of nowhere, it's out of what he's absorbed from the teachings of Napoleon Hill. Not just Think and Grow Rich, there was a few other books that he wrote as well, but he is just a living embodiment of it. So yes, so true, Kim, great example. And I'm thrilled that you've got getting a better, clearer picture of what your big goal is and how you can make it happen. And yeah, that's for sure. As we apply these principles, this is one of the great things about this book. It's not just hot air and waffle. It's stuff that's been researched. He went around and interviewed some of the leading industrialists in the USA and picked their brains. Now, if you had the chance now today to go and interview, I don't know, however when it was 50 multimillionaires, don't you think you'd learn a lot of good tips? Yeah. So he did that. I mean, that's the ultimate leverage, isn't it? Find people who have done what you want to do. This is another thing it talks about in this chapter. He touches base on the concept of mentors. Was that actually, no, sorry, that was the previous chapter 5. Find people who refuse to compromise with circumstances that they're not happy with. So if your life is not going to plan or not going the way you want it to, do something to change it. You have the power, you know, take it on board. You can change it. And if you don't have the specialized knowledge or the money or the time, surround yourself with people who can help and tap into that. That's the principle of masterminding. So you can change anything in your life. If you're not happy with where you live or the job you've got, or dare I say it, the partner you've got, obviously I'm thrilled and delighted with mine, but you know, if it's not if it's not going well, if you're putting up with something, then do something about it. Don't just sit there being miserable for the rest of your life. That's what this is all about. Carly, please share your wisdom.
I just wanted to add about imagination, because basically it's keep it simple because whatever we think creates, whether positive or negative, it creates. You can think of your friend, they're ringing. Whatever you dare to dream, make it what you really want. And our imagination is pure heart, pure connected to the heart consciousness, which is the universe. It's fully abundant. You might as well think what you really want. You might as well dream or imagine what you really want. The beauty of imagination is there's no attachment to imagination until our mind gets fully involved with the thought of the imagination and decide to be attached. Most people aren't attached to my friend ringing. They just think it or, you know, desire it. And then the next minute, non-attached, it's creating, whether that's 5 hours later, an hour later. I was just thinking about you. So the power of imagination is our inner child, our heart sweetness, our innocent self, our connection to the universe. There's no separation and there's no attachment if we desire to not be attached. And then it can create with beauty and ease and grace. And
so there's an interesting potential paradox there that's come up, is this thing about attachment. You know, Noble Goldman and Napoleon Hill and people that talk about you're attached to your dream in the sense that you come up with this vision or this idea that you want, and it becomes a burning desire. Well, of course, something that you have a burning desire for, you're attached to. What the distinction is to not be attached to the how it's going to happen. Just be attached to the fact that it will happen, because the universe will bring to you resources and powers that you may not even be aware of yet, right? So don't be attached to the how to, because that's where you can come unstuck. If you put all your eggs in one basket and think, oh, you know, in order to make this happen, I've got to do X, Y, and Z, and then for some reason you can't do X, Y, and Z, then you lose, you get dispirited, you get downhearted because you think, well, I can't make this thing happen then. But if you keep the faith and the attachment to the dream, to the vision, to the idea, the concept, and that make it a burning desire, the how-to will come to you from ways you've never even imagined yet. You know, you'll meet somebody new, like this guy, Frank Gonzalez in the story, who gave his speech. I think it was the local church or something, I can't remember now. And somebody in the audience turned out to be a multimillionaire who just went, yeah, I'll give you $1 million. You know, because, and so don't get too concerned about the scale of things as well, because some of the things that you think in your present level of circumstances seem ridiculously out of reach, ridiculously unthinkable that you could pull that off. Who are you to pull that off? Well, like Marianne Williamson said in President Mandela used it in his speech, I think, you know, who are you not to believe in yourself? Who are you not to share your wisdom, your light with the world? Because you're keeping yourself a closely guarded secret a lot of the time, you know? And so when you step up, you allow other people to step up as well around you. And so somebody will turn up that can help you. You don't know who it is necessarily. It might not be the person you think it is. And you can fulfill your vision, your idea. So great point that was raised there is about giving, this is another sort of something I picked out at the end of the chapter, was give life action and guidance to ideas. And then the idea will take on its own power and it'll grow like a beast that you've created, and it'll carry on flourishing in its own right. So great share, Carly. It's very much what Carly's all about, and always has been since I've known her, is always coming from the heart, you know. And when you are heart-centered, when you are aligned with this fits in with my values, this is important to me, and it's going to be of benefit to people, then the idea has a much greater chance of coming to fruition. Would you agree with that?
I just want to add, like yesterday, Joe had an awakening experience of a new level of vibration, and he had no expectation, from what I can see, that he knew that was even going to happen. But from the previous day, I know we worked with Gary, and we had opened the space for our imagination, if you want to call it that, the universe, to co-create a change. And you'd already been wanting sort of a change from previous calls. And then yesterday it manifested without you knowing it was going to. Like in a subtle way, you may have had an intuition hit that said, it's my turn. But
I stepped into my fear. I just threw my hands up, said, fuck it, let's do this. And what happened, and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So there was the action. You decided, let's do it. I'm going into my fear with no attachment, no outcome, like an unknown, limitless potential. And what manifested was totally bigger than your imagination could have put on it.
Went really deep.
So
awesome, guys. That's really good. And that again is the power of the mastermind. Is what it's all about, is, you know, working with the other members of the community. And, you know, I'm sure most of us, if you haven't already spoken to each other, reach out, connect on Facebook, connect and on all the social media channels. You know, you're there for each other. That's what this is all about. There was another thing on that was out of the book, just at the end there, was about the importance of coming up with a plan. So it means nothing unless you take action. So a plan is a crystallizing of your thoughts and getting it down. Once you write it down on paper, somehow it becomes real. It becomes not just a, you know, someone ought to do something about that, to, hey, I've got a plan here and I'm going to do something about this. I don't know all the answers yet, but I want this house, or I want this job, or I want this business to start, or I want to create or invent something, or whatever it is that you want to achieve. Get a plan down, even if it's sketchy at the moment, bullet point it, you know, you can flesh it out as you go along. Then don't be attached to the dream, but don't be attached to the plan. The plan is your working guide as you go along, but it can change. You know, the journey to success is not a straight line. It's a wobbly line. It goes all over the place. You have ups and downs, but you'll get there. We're at time, everyone. Has anyone got any last thing they want to add? Any last piece of wisdom? No, we all complete. Well, thank you all. Oh, sorry, Benta.
Oh, sorry.
Please.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I just wanted to say something about planning and going through your fears, like Kali was saying. I'm one of those people that was always, I graduated from yoga teacher training, but I've been so afraid to get myself into camera, to do videos and everything. And because of masterminding, my friends Ron and Valerie got me to create a Facebook group to teach, to kind of train myself to do live videos. And the first time I decided to do the live video, I was terrified. I was really, really scared. But now that I'm doing it, it's actually flowing. You know, I tell myself, I'm just going through it. I'm nervous, but I just go through it. And so everything you're saying, I resonate with that, because it really helps to just go with it and believe and plan and then go through it.
And the more you have that belief in the power of the dream that you want to achieve, the more you will ride out the setbacks. You'll take them in your stride, because your belief in the dream is undaunted. If you haven't got a clear dream, then it's easier to get dispirited and downhearted when things don't go according to plan. So it's not so much the how to, it's the why. You know, start with the why. Good news for you, chapter 15 covers a lot about fears as well, but we'll get to that. So thank you everyone so much for your attendance and your contribution. And even if you didn't say anything, you've still contributed to the energy of the group by being here. So thank you so much for that. And I look forward to seeing all your smiling faces again. We will do the next two chapters, 7 and 8, for next Friday, or Thursday if it's America time, sorry. I always think Friday because I'm in Perth and that's what it is. But, you know, for you guys, you're still on Thursday. So, and for New Zealand, of course, they're ahead of us. So, wow. Global audience, first world problems, hey. All right. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.